Welcome back to From the Parapet. This is officially episode 1.
If you haven't listened to episode 0, that is basically where we just introduce ourselves, kind of talk about what this podcast entails, and then talks about why we love reading and kind of what's in the future, what's to come.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So in this episode, we are going through chapters 1 through 6. We're going to do a nice little recap, and that is called Beyond the Mats. But we'll just dive in deeper to what happened.
Yeah, and this is your note right now that there are spoilers. So if you are like, I've never read from Fourth Wing before by Rebecca Yarros, and you're like, I should give this a listen, don't
Listen to this.
give Audible a listen.
Tune into Audible. Don't tune into us.
Listen to the book, read the book, digest the book, read it again.
Come back and then
it's time to join.
And then.
So this is just a note that there are spoilers for Fourth Wing, and we're going to try to keep it limited to chapters 1 through 6, but again, we'll probably encompass it all. But we just want to focus on chapters 1 through 6, and each of the segments we can get through the entire book.
So after Beyond the Mats, we're going to go into another segment called Conscripted for Adventure, where we just kind of talk about the history and the characters
and kind of the world building that happens, because my first read was a listen, so I listened to Audible. So this is the first time I'm reading the book again, and I'm annotating the fuck out of it. I have 8 different tabs, I'm marking, I'm highlighting, so we really get to dive more into that in your Conscripted for Adventure. And then that leads us to our final segment of the show today, which is
From the Dragon's Den. I'm pretty excited about this. This is just kind of where we'll talk theories and predictions on what we think is going to happen, what we want to happen. We might be a little bit delusional, but
it's fine. I believe anything. I tell myself enough that it's going to happen.
So. There's if I see a TikTok and there's no actual sound evidence behind it, I'll believe it. I'm like, you word it right, and I'm
there.
Absolutely. You got me.
So we'll try to stick for the section of From the Dragon's Den to kind of be about chapters 1 through 6. So it's not a all-encompassing lore theory realm. We're going to try to stick to what has been talked about in these chapters.
Yeah.
So other than that, before we get started from Beyond the Mats, do you want to tell our folks what we're drinking today?
Oh my god. Okay. I don't know if you'll be able to see it as well. It looks really great in person. This is Violet's mending potion.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's great. She's vodka.
Yeah.
Don't listen if you're not 21. Skip past this part. It's vodka. It's blue Gatorade.
Mm-hmm.
It's lime juice.
Yeah.
And is it the coconut
Red Bull.
Coconut Red Bull. Oh my god, she's so good.
Yeah, so in chapter 6, she has a little excursion to the Healer's Quadrant, so I was like, this is perfect. We kind of want to have a themed drink for every recap we do, so I guess we'll put the recipe in the show notes. If you're 21, make a mocktail.
Or if you're in any other country that's not the United States, I guess. If you're 18, you can do that. Enjoy it.
Okay, so I guess to get started with Beyond the Mats, chapters 1 through 6. We start off, and Kelsey, you might have to help me cover my mind. I'm going to try to go 1 through 6.
Don't worry, I've got you with my Bookly app. She's not sponsored yet. I love Bookly.
So I'm just pulling from my brain, but we start in General Sorrengail's office, and we hear kind of a heated argument between Mira, who is Violet's older sister.
She's so badass.
Literally, once we get more into the book, I'm like, Mira, are you gay? I want to know if she's bisexual.
Just because she's kind of giving. She's a little she's part of the queer community.
I hope so, because she talks about slinging dick all the time. But I'm like, girl,
it could be strap.
Be gay. She would be a top though.
Exactly. I'm like, she's in her anyway.
And this is also a disclaimer that this is mature, explicit content we talk about. We're not. Don't shy away from.
Sorry, Grandma, if you're listening to this.
So we start with Mira and Captain Lilith Sorrengail having a heated discussion about our main character, Violet Sorrengail. Violet Sorrengail is 20, and it is conscription day. And so if you don't know what conscription day is, again, please go listen to Audible. But Conscription Day is a day in October.
You don't know what it is. Did you read the book?
A day in October where 20-year-olds from all across Navarre come together and they choose kind of what's going to happen next and what is their next phase in life. So there's different quadrants. There's the infantry, which most folks go into, that's just kind of like general front lines. You're battling so-and-so. There is the healer quadrant, which is you take care of folks, you mend folks. This is what it looks like. You kind of help those on the infantry and the riders get better. We have the riders quadrant, which is all about 3 years of intensive training to get on the back of a dragon, channel your signet powers, learn about history, learn about everything, while also learning the best methods of attack. And then we also have the scribe quadrant. So the scribe quadrant is the folks that keep the history of everything. So they work closely with the writers quadrant to figure out kind of what battles have happened, document those for history so we have everything lined up. And so this argument happens because Violet has been trained for her entire life to be a scribe.
Which, okay, I actually have a note in my bookly where I could, God, I wish I was better prepared. I have so many notes in here. Where she only had 6 months to prepare.
Yes.
For the writer's quadrant, and it stated that her mother decided that for her the second she started training with what's his name?
The captain?
Yeah.
It's not Melvin, but
No.
yeah, she recently started training, but I think it all has to do with her dad passing away. So there's no spoiler in here. Her dad has passed away, and there's an argument with General Sorengel, about how she's like, well, I'm a daughter of a scribe, and Lilith is like, no, you're a daughter of a writer. You're going to be a writer. Point blank, no questions asked.
I found it. It's on page 36.
Yes.
And so her mother announced as soon as she started training with Major Gilsteed. So I'm a little curious.
Yeah.
About why her mother did that.
Yeah, I think we can talk more about that like when we get into like kind of what we think is going to happen, questions that we have, because I have a flag for that. So we're in the office in a heated discussion, and Mira's is this last attempt of like, Mom, please, no. And that's the first time that we see her called Mom. At first you're like, who's this general and why are they arguing? It's her mother. And so no attempt. Lilith is like, hey, Violet can make it. She's stronger than anyone. She's endured more pain than you have in like the last month, and she can endure it in a day. Which, kind of seems like, a little positive, upbeat, but General Sorengel is like, hey, Violet, nice knowing you. I can't really talk to you for 3 years. You will be a cadet. That's that. And so Violet, bye, no hug, no touch, no nothing. So we also get that. It's like
no amount of like reassurance that you could be walking into like a death sentence, which it is.
Yeah.
Like,
and so you can also see kind of their strained relationship as Violet exits the hall and she looks down to where her room was. And that 30 minutes that Mira had that conversation, her stuff is packed. So like her entire life that she's known there at Basgaiath has been packed up and gotten ready to go. And so Mira decides to do the only thing that she knows how to do, prepare her little sister for conscription day. So she makes Violet take her pack off because it's not ever really stated, but we do know that Violet is that a cat sneeze?
Yeah, she's in the flowers.
Violet has a disability and has a different ability status. So she has issues with her ligaments and issues with healing and different not bodily functions, but like different impairments. And so coming from two disabled folks, it was nice seeing like the representation for someone who kind of goes through similar things that we go through. What?
I mean, sure, it was nice to see it. It's not my cup of tea to have like I don't want to call her weak. But everybody is like, you're weak, Violet. Like, Dane, her mother, Mira, they're like, she's weak, she's so pathetic. And I'm like,
please just let her,
I'm like, that's actually a little bit mean. But my cup of tea is more like, I don't know, badass female main characters, which
she develops into.
Yeah.
But I think she has to surpass the stigma that has been imprinted on her.
Yeah,
that she's kind of picked up on. So she's like, okay, how do I get past this?
God, and she's so clever. Like, she's so smart. That's so sexy of her. I've gotta hand it to her.
Yeah. So Mira's like, okay, here's what we got to do, and empties her sack. And Violet's like, what's going on? So she repacks it, gives her a whole rundown of kind of like, here's how you know.
So much stuff out.
Yeah. Throws out stuff. Doesn't want to get rid of the book that Violet's dad gave her,
which talks about the fables,
and we'll get to that in later chapters. But keynote, we'll think about that book later.
Yeah, we'll be thinking of her.
Mira gets her ready, packs her stuff back up, and she's like, "Listen, please don't die. I can't be an only child," because it also is discovered that Brennan, her older brother, has passed away, and they were all writers, and so. They get ready, they walk down and get ready to sign up and put her name on the roll. Mira gives her a hug in a private alleyway, and they get ready to sign in, and everyone's like, whoa, you're Mira, you fought in this big battle. Da-da-da-da.
You're so badass.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so Violet...
And they're like, wait, I thought General Sorrengail only had one daughter.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's just like,
who is that?
Who is that?
It's giving locked away in a tower.
Literally, they're like, who is she? She's the lesser sibling. But also, we should note that it starts raining.
Yes.
In this time.
We should also note that back in General Sorrengail's office, the temperatures dropped when things got heated because General Sorrengail's signet, which is talked later, is the power to wield storms.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in From the Dragon's Den, so we'll talk more about that. But you can see weather's coming in. Mira's like, you got to get across the parapet before things get bad. I love you. I'll see you later. So it's kind of like a goodbye because she doesn't know if she's going to make it or not. She hopes, crosses her fingers. So Violet signs a roll saying that she wants to be a writer. She meets two really nice people in line. A darker, curly-haired person of color. Her name's Rhiannon. And then this sweet, boy, I was going to say older boy, they're all the same age, the sweet boy in front of them named Dylan. And so they get ready and they're climbing the stairs and they hear this asshole in the back. They're like, who the fuck is this? We'll get to the asshole later.
Side note, when she does meet these characters, you can't help but to love Dylan. And he's like, I'm not dying. I want you to know, 2 pages later, he dies. He's dead.
You wanted so much more for him.
He's like, my girl back home told me not to propose because it's like bad luck. Well,
me punching myself in the forehead. I'm
like you knew, like obviously it was coming. Someone had to fall on the parapet.
But Dylan, avenge my guy.
She meets Rhiannon, and she asked to see Rhiannon's like shoe.
Yeah.
Because Mira gave her better boots.
And she was like, your soles are slick.
You're gonna fucking die, bitch, if you don't change into these. And when Violet sees Rhiannon's soles, she's like, ooh, those are super smooth. Like, switch boots with me. Like, give me one of your boots. You can fit your big ass foot into mine.
And this all happens 15 minutes after Mira says, don't make any friends, make alliances.
Alliances only. No, not Violet. My girl, I feel like she's just soft at heart.
Yeah. And Mira's parting words are, find Dane Atos. Find him because they were family friends. They grew up together. He will protect you. He will watch out for you. And stay away from Xaden Ryerson. She said, basically, she's like, he's a no good piece of shit. Please stay away from him. He's no good. Nothing will happen good. Like, yeah. And so they climb the stairs, they change the shoe, and they get ready to go out kind of onto this awning that leads them to the parapet. And so they sign their name, they tell their name again before they get ready to cross. And they're like, oh, what's your name? And she says, Violet Sorrengail.
Lo and behold,
the most beautiful man you've ever seen in your fucking life turns around, tawny skin.
Tawny.
Not
white.
No.
Not porcelain. Tawny.
He is brown. Xaden Ryerson is a brown man.
I'm tired of seeing it. The fan art, why is he white? That man's not white. Rebecca Yarros herself was like, he's a person of color.
And my favorite thing about Rebecca Yarros is she's like, he is a person of color.
What is this?
And every time she sees fan art of him whitewashed, she's like, in New Girl Schmidt, and he's like, a white man, no!
White man, no. Yeah, she's love her for that. She's like, no.
And if you have a problem with him being a person of color, we need to have a conversation.
We need to talk. Click out of this podcast when we were with us.
Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating and leave. So she's like, oh, who the fuck is that? And he said, Sorrengail, like Captain Sorrengail's daughter. And then she hears Ryerson. She's like, damn it, that's Finn Ryerson's son.
The great betrayer.
And so they have this little tiff of like, she's like, are you gonna fucking kill me? Because Mira said you are. And he's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and let the parapet do that for me.
Yeah, he's like, ooh. And if you don't know, the great betrayer, Finn, I don't really exactly know how to describe this in a proper way. Basically, a bunch of people, like rebels, I guess. Like, fuck's sake.
Just wanted to leave the king's ruling. It talks more about that after chapter 6, but basically there's
my mind just went like I flatlined for a second. I was like, oh.
You said insert dial-up tone.
I'm like,
so it's basically General Sorrengail and Finn Ryerson in different sides, but everyone from the Rising and the Revolution, all of their parents are dead. They were mass slaughtered, and
massacred.
Mass slaughtered, mass massacred. And all of their kids, the marked ones, are forced and signed into being a writer. And so we'll see more character development out of this. But this puts us to the point where Violet gets ready to step on the parapet, and wouldn't you know it, a fucking downpour comes. And then we hear a shriek right as she talks to Xaden, and it's Dylan falling to his death. And so she's already emotional, and she gets ready and gets up on the parapet, and she takes this deep breath, and she's like, Rihanna's in front of her, and she's nervous, and she said, if the fear gets to me, it'll eat me before, and it won't let me get across. So she does what anyone does. She's like, I can't fucking sing, can't fucking hum a tune for shit, but I can recite knowledge, something that's comforted her and brought her peace throughout all this time.
This is maybe one of my favorite parts of the world building that I've read in like a fantasy book, because it's like, it's so cute. It's like a little niche thing. She's like, oh, this is my quirk. Like, first of all, I'm super smart, and when I'm nervous, I just rattle off history facts.
And I'm like, okay, I'm a word vomiter too.
She was gonna be a scriber, so it's like comforting to her, and I love that.
And so
yeah,
she's just walking through reading, and the parapet is 18 inches wide, made out of mortar, and the wind is howling, the rain is coming, so she's ducking and taking the chance when she needs to. But introduce this asshole that was on the stairs and kind of said some shit earlier. He's behind her, a few people, and then she turns around and she's like, what's that noise? She sees him pick up another almost cadet, another person, and throw them off the parapet, and she's like, holy fucking shit. And he looks, and he said, I'm coming for you next. And so she's like, oh my god, I'm freaking out, the wind is howling.
She's like, I've got to get the fuck out of here.
And so she starts speed walking, starts saying more and more facts, and she can feel him on her back. So she's like running, and she gets to the end, and she hops off, and she turns around, and he's about to get her, and she puts his dagger to his balls, and she's like, I would watch your next fucking move.
Yeah, because she stepped off the parapet, so technically she's a ranking higher than him. She's officially a cadet, whereas he's just a candidate, so.
And they're like, you better fucking watch out. Like, everyone there's not phased. They see this shit all the time.
They're like, what?
And they're basically like, Violet, go ahead and kill him if you want. Like,
up to you.
Yeah, like, you're a cadet. And she's like, do you promise to play by the rules? Which I think is such a goody two-shoes thing to do.
Do you swear to follow the rules and not to kill me? Like, okay, girl.
And so they take the roll at the end, and so Violet Sorrengail, and we figure out the asshole's name is Jack Barlow. And so she gets across, and she's like, oh, my fucking knee from where I tripped, it hurts so bad.
So she's like literally falling apart, but she's trying to like not limp in front of all these people. She doesn't want to be seen as weak or like a liability, because you know you don't want to be the weakest link. And
because they talk about it, they're like, if you are the weakest member of the wing, then
you're a liability, this and that.
The wing is only as strong as its weakest link.
Yeah.
And then they'll take necessary precautions to weed out and make their wing strong.
They'll kill you, bitch. They will. You're done.
And so she meets up with Rhiannon. Rhiannon trades her boots back. And then we see Dane Atos. And so while reading the book at first, my boyfriend read it first and I was like, oh my God, do we love Dane? I was like, do we love Dane?
I was the same way. I was like, wait, I'm kind of like giggling, kicking my feet in the air. I was like, he's so protective. I love it.
So he brings her around. He's like, Violet, what happened? Like, why the fuck are you not a scribe?
He was big mad.
Because he is now a second year and he is a squad leader. And during your first year, you can't talk to anyone from home. So he has no idea. He's like, this girl's trained to be a scribe forever. Although the past 6 months is when she first started to train to be a writer. So rightfully he has his questions. He takes her to his room to help get a bandage for her knee because he knows that she needs to bandage up. She needs to heal. But the entire time he's like, we can get you out of here. Like, we can save you. And she's like, whoa.
Whoa, I made it across the parapet.
Like,
what do you mean? Like 15%? Is it 15%?
Yeah, 15% of people die.
Yeah. And he's so like
condescending
and pushy.
Yeah. He's like, I know what's best for you.
Throughout just the first 6 chapters, this man is trying to get her out. Like, wants to sneak her out, wants to take her himself to the scribe quadrant. Like, he's just like,
let me save you.
You can't make it here. And he started rubbing me the wrong way because I was like,
just let her live. So she tells him, she's like, I'm gonna stay, this is what happens, blah 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 blah. So Dan's like, fine, you are in my squad then. And so he makes it so she's in her squad. There's squads and then sections and then wing. And so we go back, we wait for everyone to cross the parapet and then they section everyone off. And so she was supposed to be in a different wing, in a different section. And lo and behold, we see Xaden Ryerson at the front give a little whisper and make dead eye contact. And little did you know, he switches everything up and makes Dane's squad
under like his wing and like his authority.
Yep. And so,
oh my God, that was crazy.
I said, ooh. And so Violet was like, oh my God, he's gonna do this because he's trying to kill me. And so she's like trying to remember what the codex says and what to follow. And so Xaden gives his whole like wing a little talking to of like, hey, are we excited? You all crossed the thing.
Yeah,
it's great.
You're feeling invincible.
Yeah, he's like, you're feeling so fucking great right now.
Woo! Little like pep talk.
And then we see some dragons land.
I think I want to say 5 dragons.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that one. I should have written that down.
And then this majestic, badass navy blue dragon keeps sussing out Violet.
Like making direct eye contact with her, like staring her down. Which I'd be scared as fuck. She's described as huge. Like I think maybe the first time that I read this book, because I'm on my reread right now, I thought that they were like how to train your dragon size. But on this reread, I'm like, oh my God, like it's described later on when Violet gets her dragon that she only comes up to his ankle. His ankle. It's a big fucking dragon.
Yeah.
That's a massive dragon. That is like, he's huge. I can't even comprehend what a human looks like.
Like I need accurate fan depiction size art.
Well, I've seen a little bit of fan art and it's like Game of Thrones dragons.
Yeah.
Those dragons are something serious. So like, okay, just a little, I don't know, I just felt like I needed to hammer down on how big these fucking dragons are.
And the dragons are sniffing and sussing people out. And the death toll rises 3 more just from pure incineration.
Yeah.
Of folks that are
rises to 70.
Yeah.
Because people, I mean, rightfully so, took off running for their fucking lives, and these dragons are like,
And then Violet feels heat, but it's steam from an exhale of a. So that's where we meet Sigale. And so Violet has her first sleep. She gets in her quarters. And then she wakes up, and lo and behold, Dane is like, hey, you want to fucking get out of here? Let's go to the squad quadrant.
Let's go.
And
we've got to go.
And she's like, no. Like, I got up early. I put on Mira gave her this piece of armor that's made out of tiny shrunken dragon scales that she's like, you better sleep in, you better wear this all the time. So she's ready. She's like, I'm in it, I'm up an hour early, please just let me go and fucking eat breakfast. Like, I want to do breakfast duty, I want to do the things. And he goes, well, I can't protect you everywhere, you have history, and I have to be on the writer's field. And she's like, okay, cool, like, go, I'll be fine in history, like.
And this is also revealed what Dane's signet power is, which is, I want to say, a really big part of the story. He can access people's recent memories, allegedly, by just touching their temple.
So, yes, we'll talk more about this. We're going to leave it at that, because I want to come back to this and From the Dragon's Den. So we learn the signet, and Violet's like, holy shit, that's a strong signet, because there's ones that are repeated, like fire wielding, water wielding, air wielding, all pretty normal. But she's like, what's your fucking signet? Like, you've changed so much. You can do simple magic locks on your door. What is it? And he's like, oh yeah, here's what it is. And he wears a patch that says, you can't really know what my signet is. It's above you. And she's like, oh, Xaden doesn't have one, so I guess he's not as powerful as Dane.
Yeah.
And so that puts us through history, and then we end up in battle briefs. And so we get ready to go to battle briefs, and Dane is like, oh, watch out, like, you need to be careful, like, and
so careful.
You need to be careful, Violet. And she's like,
kill you anywhere.
She's like, he's not gonna kill me in a fucking huge ass room. And I just don't know how you picture this scene. I picture it as, so she's, every time, we'll read it more, she sees Xaden, she feels a bristle down her neck, and all of her hair stands up, and she looks, and he's like 20 feet away, and they're making eye contact as they're sneaking out from behind this dragon statue, and they like start making comments of like, oh, da 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 da, like some back and forth.
Yeah.
And then
he's like, you guys really don't try to hide it. Like, you're making it so fucking obvious.
And he's like, I knew your parents were fucking friends, but I didn't know you all were friends.
Yeah.
Maybe even first lovers. And I'm like,
literally, I was like, wait a minute.
I said, not how you
I was like, why are you mad?
And I'm like, are you jealous?
No, because I'm like, what's your fucking deal?
But my favorite part is where Dane's like so fucking scared. He's like, Violet, run!
And she runs, and to me, that's pathetic.
That's so
like,
funny.
that's so pathetic to me. I'm like, he's not gonna kill you.
While everyone's walking to class. So that just reminds
like,
me of the kids that like Naruto run to class. Like, that was Violet in that moment. She's like, I gotta fucking get out of here. Like,
yeah, no. I can't. When I read that, like, I was like, ugh. Like, roll my eyes. I'm like, I can't. That was really embarrassing.
Yeah, I was like, that was embarrassing for both of us. So we get to battle briefs, which I feel like Violet's more excited for than history. Has every first year cadet, and so they have battle briefs every single day because the teacher is like, hey, this is the only thing that truly matters about what happens every single day. You kind of have to keep up with it. You have to be in the know. And a scribe is also her teacher. And I feel like this is where the scribe was originally her mentor, first realizes that Violet is no longer going to be a scribe, and he is heartbroken.
Literally, like, he looks so sad when he, I mean, I imagine he looks so sad.
Yeah, he's just distraught. Well, yeah, it was described in, like, he was just...
Not the sirens. Yeah, he was obviously pretty upset because in the book it says that she was his pupil, student, like...
That was going to be, like, his gold star. He's getting ready to retire.
Yeah, and now he doesn't have that, and she's the weakest person.
And so...
in first year, so...
Yeah, so we're getting ready. We're going over battle briefs, and they're like, there was a war that went down on the eastern coast, and they're like, can anyone ask, like, kind of what happened? Ask some questions. What does this look like? And Violet whispers into, like, Rihanna, and she's like, ask how tall it was. Like, ask what it looks like. Yeah. And the teacher was like, hey, you just need to ask me the questions because I know you're whispering. But that's a great question to ask. And she stands up and asks these questions and answers. And Jack Barlow's like, that's fucking dumb. And
that's the dumbest thing ever. Why would they already be on their way?
And the teacher's like, no, she's fucking right.
She's literally right. One of the dragons sensed that the ward was going down, so they rounded everybody up and rolled out.
So the Griffins came in, and they lost 34 people. Some of the places were burned, but they were looting. And so Xaden Ryerson said, so what was the state of the city? And they're like, well, they're looking for something. And they're like, cool. And this isn't the first time the wards have gone down.
Yeah. But another first year asks, how often are they going down? And they said that that's above their pay grade. Like, the cadets not allowed to know that information. So that's a little sus. And
it's the first time Violet hears about it too, and her mother's the general.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that her mom hasn't told her anything really.
And I do have it written. This was from page 62. This is a direct quote. Something in her tone tells me that it's not just third years who might be called into service this year, and a chill settles in my bones.
Because she said, don't worry, only third years are the ones that go to the battles.
And that only happens rarely.
And it's not the battlefront, so you're just kind of keeping up with the post, because the post are using the dragon's powers to kind of make a circle to say the only magic that works in this circle are dragon's magic. Anything else doesn't work. But the wards that have been amplifying that power have been dropping.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a little
foreshadowing moment.
A little foreshadowing moment that I thought was interesting, because you on a reread you come back and you read this and you're like, oh shit, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think could lead into the second book, obviously. But
and so we get on to after battle briefs, we go to the sparring mat.
Oh yeah, and she's nervous. So nervous. And here we meet Sawyer.
Yes.
And Sawyer, Rhiannon, and Violet are all standing. They're watching. Jack Barlow is 2 mats over. Dane is overlooking, like, they're
sparring. They're trying to figure out there's assessment day.
Yeah. And
this is a huge ass gym. There's 20 mats all lined up. It's as long as the academic hall. So a lot of shit is going on. And so Violet, Sawyer, and Rhiannon are next to each other, and they're like, oh, damn, I wish we were as good as you in history and da-da-da-da. And she's like, I'm not going to last out in these fucking mats. And so they kind of make an alliance of, we'll help you train for sparring if you help us train for history.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, that doesn't sound fucking bad at all. And so they're watching Riddick and another girl from their squad battle it out, and Violet the entire time is like, this is fucking terrifying.
She's like, oh, I'm so fucked. And Rhiannon's like, you don't have anything to worry about. You're fine. I'll train you.
And then the sparring teacher paired her in a second year marked one with pink shaved hair, Imogen.
I like her.
To spar. And so when we first read it, I said, who the fuck is this bitch? Because Imogen is like, oh, I'm fucking pissed. She goes, she's like, your mom killed my mother. Or is it her dad? I think it's her mom.
She said
both of her parents. Yeah. And so she's like, I'm gonna fuck, like,
I'm gonna fuck you up.
And so during the whole sparring day, it's assessment day, Jack Barlow already has snapped someone's neck. And he's like, whoa, this is assessment day. We're not supposed to kill anyone. What the fuck happened? So you're not trying to kill anyone. You're not trying to break anything. You're just trying to figure out where you're assessing at within your squad, within your section. And so Imogen and Violet are on the mats. Imogen is like, fuck this bitch. And Violet, in the first half, she's really quick. I'm not going to lie. So she was dodging stuff, running around. But
she got a couple hits in.
Imogen uses her signet on the mat. And Dane is like, wow, you can't use your power. He goes, you can't use your signet. And it gets Violet down. And then Imogen's above her, and Imogen just makes a smile. And Violet's like, I felt something near my ribs. And then she's like, I look up at Imogen smiling and then not smiling, and I hear the sound of a dagger sheath, like resheath.
Yeah.
And so Imogen tried to stab her.
But thankfully, Mira gave her that dragon scale armor plate, saved her life. So, shout out.
So Imogen is out for blood after that and ends up hurting Violet. Violet didn't yield, and tearing the ligament in her arm and breaking her arm. And so Dane fucking picks her up and runs her off to the healers.
Makes a big scene about it, because she's like, girl, first of all, you made it really obvious that you acted like I was somebody you cared about. And he was like, you are.
And she's like, that made butterflies in my stomach happen.
She's like, da-da-da.
And then 2 seconds later, he's like, no, don't fucking heal her. Take her to the scribe unit.
Please. Like, ugh.
And so the head nurse was like, no, I'm going to get my husband. Her husband was a writer, and he's a mender. And so menders have this really amazing power that they can mend people, they can mend buildings, they can mend anything and restore it to what it once was. And so she calls Nolan, and Nolan has been her mender for a while, for the past 5 years. And I said, hey, I'll take care of you. I'll stitch you up. It's great. Meanwhile, Dana's pleading like, please, just make her go to the scribe quadrant. It'll be so easy.
Begging. And this is, like, the first time it, like, really pisses Violet off. Like, she's already taken her little tonic. So she's, like, slurring her words. She's like, I'm fine.
She's like, I don't want to be a scribe.
I don't want to be a scribe.
No scribe.
Please, please, no. I'm a writer. And then Nolan is like, why don't you, like, go back to where you came from?
He said, go back to where you came from, because if it was any other first-year cadet, you'd be gone.
Yeah, you'd be gone already.
And so...
that was very cute. She said hello.
And so she gets mended, and he's like, hey, it's going to hurt a little bit, but you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so Violet then goes back to the quarters. Rhiannon's excited. She's like, oh my God, you're back. I knew you'd be okay. We're excited. And she's like, oh, okay, like, that's so nice. She moves and gets ready to get in her bed. She feels something under her pillow, and she pulls it out, and it's a journal with a note folded on top. And who is it from? It's from Mira. And Mira said, I took a look at the death toll. You weren't on it. It made me excited. I couldn't stay. I have to go. But I wanted to give you this journal. This journal was given to me from Brennan, her older brother that has passed away. And she said, I knew Brennan would want you to have it. Like, love, Mira.
Yeah.
And so, are you purring in the mic? And so Violet was like, okay, we'll do that. She's so excited. She tells Rhiannon, like, hey, this is from my brother. I'm so excited. And reads it. And Brennan's like, hey, this is everything that you need to know, Mira, in order to survive. The writer's unit, he's like, be safe. Violet's watching. Da-da-da-da-da. And this is where he gives her the hint that, you know, sparring, it seems like, oh, it's just made up the day before. It's actually made up a week before. And here's how you find out who you're up against.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun. End chapter 6.
Yeah, and that's where we end. Kind of interesting. Little, like, at this point, when I was first reading it, I was like, damn, what is about to happen? My girl's in a sling. She's pretty much useless, like out of commission for the next 2 weeks. Can't train. She's gonna get her ass kicked on the mats. What's going on? Xaden, question mark, is he gonna kill her? Rhiannon, what's gonna happen to her? I have all these questions, but now moving on to our
conscripted for adventure.
Yeah, I want to discuss your ratings for characters.
Okay.
How you would rate them so far. So Violet, how do you feel about her?
From what we've just read, I would give her like a solid 3.5 out of 5. Like she's growing. Like, I'm like, who are you? Do you stand up for yourself? I'm learning. Like, okay, I think she just has like this huge mental block of who she has been and who she needs to be. Mm-hmm. So I'd give her a 3.5. I know you give her like a 2 or a 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd give her probably a 2, maybe a 2.5.
Yeah.
It's just, I just love to see a really strong, in all sense of the word, sorry Violet, lead character. But I mean, she gets better.
She does, and I think it's a big mental block for her to work past this. She's always been kind of counted out, and she's just been prepared because her dad was a scribe for so long of how do I do this and how do I become what I need to become. And so I'd say that for her. While reading the book for Dane at this point, honestly, I thought he was sitting at like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would say the same. I really, really liked him. And I don't think that it started bothering me about him trying to get her out until later on in the book.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, he's watching out for her. This is really sweet. They've been childhood friends. He knows what's going on. But that's not the case.
Rhiannon, I love her.
I've always thought she's like a 5 out of 5.
Literally 5 out of 5. I love female friendship, like written in a book. I love it. There's something so special about it.
Olive is guest starring today, I guess.
Olive is, yeah. I'm sure you've heard Olive, little cat, purring into our mics. She's she has some things to say.
Yeah, I guess she has some hot takes.
I'm curious, how would you rate Xaden's character in this moment?
Oh, in this moment when I first read it, he was definitely like a 1.5.
Really?
Now that I read it, I'm like, he's a 5. He's forever a 5. He's a 5 in my eyes. But reading it,
I think in my eyes, first time reading it, he's maybe a 3 because I love a villain and I can already tell.
Mm.
I was like, okay, wait, there's beef, and I'm interested. I'm sat. What's gonna happen? Is he gonna kill her?
Oh no! At first I was like, "Fuck this guy. Who the fuck is he? Like, back up off my girl. Like, leave it alone. Like, I could give 2 shits about you. Like, none."
I just love a mean male character.
It's your type of man, honestly.
It is. I eat it up. I like reading it. I'm like, oh my god, he was so evil for that. Why did he do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other character ratings you want to ask on?
How do you feel about? Well, Mira, to me, she's only there briefly. She's a good sister. I'd give her a 5.
Yeah.
I mean, she hasn't given me anything.
She hasn't given
I'm
me any
suspicious.
conditions.
She wants her sister to live.
She's
Good
this
sister.
strong but kind, strong but empathic, and I appreciate that out of her because, like, she's this badass character, but not badass to the point of where she's like, I can't befriend you or I can't be nice because it shows weakness. And I appreciate that because, like, as an emotional person, I like seeing that, like, oh, I know I have to be able to do this and also be there for my sister, which I think Lilith is definitely lacking because I'm like, she has no kindness, no compassion for her daughter. She's like, you're not the daughter of a scribe, you're a fucking writer. You've always been, like, you are a writer, you are not, like, this is what's happening.
Lilith is insane. I'm interested by her character.
Yeah.
I don't know where I stand with her as of, like, in this moment, but I am very interested in how she plays out, obviously, through this book and the series. I'm just curious to see where that is, because Lilith, to me, is a very, like, you chose that name for a reason.
Yeah.
So, and Lilith is, like, infamously the famous evil woman in history. So I'm like, okay, if I know anything, she's evil. Like, Lilith Sorrengale. And she's even described as that early on in the book for lacking mercy and, like, empathy. So, I mean, we'll see. But, yeah. I don't know.
I think more for Conscripted for Adventure, we kind of learn more about Navarre and what it looks like and how they've always kind of had beef with their bordering, like, countries and the people who ride the griffins that talk about, like, in the battle. They have a trade agreement, so they only meet each other, like, under these, like, certain wards, like, a few times a year, and so there's always kind of been this beef. And so it talks a little bit more about the marked ones kind of wanting to have this revolution, and what?
She just bit the mic.
I'm gonna love the sound effects that she brings to this. And so we kind of learn a little bit more about that, which we'll talk more about in a later episode, but it just kind of builds on the history there, saying that the nation has kind of been together for 500 years. There's a king, there's different sections in different areas of Navarre, that they work with dragons in Navarre, that powers come from them to help with the wards, and powers come from the signets, from themselves, from the dragons channeling powers. So that talks more about, kind of about, like, the lore in the building, and that they're set in Basgiath. Is there any other thing we need to talk about, just a general, like, world building, what we need to know for Fourth Wing, or we can get into theories and lore?
I can't think of any.
Okay. Well, do you want to get started with a theory that you have? This is our From the Dragon's Den section, where we kind of talk about theories, lore, kind of what we think's happening next, all while dealing with a very loving cat that keeps tail thumping mics.
Yeah, she's like going back and forth.
Literally, I'm like, girly, the editing on this is gonna suck.
Okay, so stop, Olive, please just, I'll hold you right here.
She said, let me at that
She
mic.
said, please, I have something to say. So I think that my theory specifically right now, I'm like fighting with her. My theory right now is that her mother caused that storm on the parapet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think obviously there's a reason that it was mentioned so early on what her mother's signet power was, storm wielding. And then as Mira and Violet are going, like on their way up to the tower, it starts drizzling. And then right before she gets on the parapet, it downpours, it's thundering. So what's her mom's fucking deal? Like, what is her problem with her daughter?
And what made me pissed off is she got across and they're like, the worst of it's over.
And then she like goes and wraps her knee and she comes back and it's done. No more rain. Like, what is your fucking deal with your daughter that you wanted her dead? What?
I believe that though. That is one theory that I'm like 100% behind. Her mom caused that storm on the parapet.
And I want to know the reason why. Like, was she just trying to get rid of her daughter?
I think so, because it was windy. Like, Violet's tiny. It's 18 inches wide. They're up so many feet. Like, you come crashing down, you're dead. There's no chance of survival.
And it's described, like, on her way up that a big gust of wind literally knocks her over. Like,
she's so tiny.
She's so tiny. She's, yeah, like, what's her mom's fucking deal with her? Why? Yeah. What was the reason? I don't understand.
That's theory one.
Theory one.
Theory two. Buckle up for this one.
Oh,
you
God.
know where I'm headed with this one.
Yeah.
Now, this is delusional. I'm not saying this is easy to follow.
It's not.
No, but... excuse me, I burped. But from my brief reading, I haven't seen this anywhere else. So if you've seen this online, like, please tag whoever, if we're on the same brave wavelength, I would love to be there with them.
Yeah.
I don't think Violet's dad that they keep quoting is her actual father.
That's crazy to me.
Because they always mention that Violet has hair that turns silver at the end. Like, she's been fighting off, like, ever since the fever when Lilith was pregnant with her. Like, things just...
Okay, listen, I have a note in here that I have to find, but you keep talking about that because I have to...
Find the note, but...
I'm going to find the note.
Okay,
Don't you worry about me.
So, when she brings it up, Lilith is like, no, like, you are my daughter, you are a writer. And Violet's like, no, I'm the daughter of a scribe. And Lilith goes, no, you are the daughter of a writer. She doesn't even acknowledge her dad, doesn't call her father, doesn't say anything. So that makes me believe, like, you are claiming her as your daughter, but, like, if your dad was like, oh, your dad, da-da-da-da. But to my knowledge, she never calls him, oh, your father. It's just like, he's dead. Like, he's gone.
Dead. Bye.
And so...
Okay, so this goes beyond these chapters, which we were trying to stray away from. But on page 9, so early in the book, they're still in Captain Sorrengail's office, and they're describing Violet's hair and how it, like, loses its, like, color.
Yeah.
I wrote that it reminded me of the Vernon in the end when they, like, reached out with their magic, and I think it's a rabbit. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a rabbit.
Yes.
And it loses all of its life and color.
And dies. It's literally bones.
So, it's mentioned that when Lilith was pregnant with Violet, she was very, very sick. Violet almost died. This and that. She comes out, her hair is like this. So, I mean, if
I think Lilith fucked around with a Vernon.
Yeah, because so maybe, or maybe Lilith faced a Vernon, and they were like, "Fuck you, bitch! I'm gonna get your kid." And then she just came out like that, and maybe that's why she's so weak. I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see if you're right with that theory. I think that it's interesting.
It's a hot take.
It is a hot take.
It's a very hot take. Like, it's not a universally, like, this is well known, and this is... When I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, what if that's not her dad?
That's crazy. This is also, I guess, maybe my second theory. If if you're a Fourth Wing fanatic, I'm sure after you finished the book, you got on TikTok and you were looking up theories because you were deprived. And you were like, I need something to fill this Fourth Wing sized hole. And this is really popular, so shout out to whoever just created this theory. They talk about how they think that the people with the second...
Oh, the marked ones?
The marked ones are just completely they think that they have a second signet power. I'm not going to touch on that more as I'm thinking about Xaden. There's a lot of people that think he can read minds.
Yeah, they think he's a signet.
Yeah.
Wait, no, what is it? An intrinsic.
Yeah, they think that that's his second signet power. And it's mentioned, I think, literally in the first 10, 15 pages that is prohibited. If you have that power, you're executed. So if he were to have this power, obviously he would have to keep it on the DL. He doesn't want anyone to know about that. I don't care about that. What I do care about is throughout the entire book, any time Xaden looks at Violet, and she doesn't even need to know that he's looking at her, she gets all chilly and her hair stands up. I'm thinking that maybe if he is a mind reader, that's what she's feeling is how he's tapping into her fucking mind or something. I don't know. And if that's true, when Sigale was looking at Violet, I'm I wonder if Xaden and Sigale...
He was done with talking. He was done with talking. And she's like, is this the one?
The one
when your mom checks it out. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm because Sigale, rolls her eyes. She looks away from Violet at one point, as if she, doesn't approve or something.
She's like, this bitch, out of this bitch.
So I'm maybe they were a kiki-kikiing back and forth through their little bonds. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay, wait. But I am curious to see if Xaden can read minds, or if he can only read Violet's mind.
Because they're faded.
Because they're faded. So I'm just wondering why is she getting all chilly and her hair is standing up and she's shivering.
I know her cooter gets wet. I know it. I know she's nervous. And she said,
Mary, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. No, because it is mentioned, I don't know, probably 1 million times throughout the book.
We need to read it and count it at this point.
It is mentioned time and time and time again throughout
I got the chills.
600 pages of this book that she got the chills, and she turns around and Xaden's looking at her. So obviously that means something.
You think that
what does it mean? Yeah. I think that is, he's reading her mind, and that's just his little signet is tickling her. He's I'm in your head.
Okay.
Yeah.
My next one, which I feel is a popular one, it's seen online, is that Dane Atos, shit-stained Dane,
fucking asshole, dude. God, I hate him.
Actually can read your mind, your recent memories, just by touching you in general.
Yeah.
So I think this is supported when he tells Violet, hey, I can read minds. I think at first he's being his serious, old self, or he's when she's what's your signet? And he's I can read recent, he said, when I touch people, I can read their recent memories. And she's oh my God, that's such a cool signet. And then he goes on, he's well, the logistics are if I actually touch their temples. So I think he got nervous and he told her the truth. And he was oh, fuck, I still have to cover up, because they do have that professor that teaches them how to kind of work with their signet. And so I know he probably said, hey, you can't tell fucking anyone that it's when you touch them. You need to know that, let them know it's the powers when you touch their temples. And so that's a popular theory. It's all throughout there, but we're doing the read right now where we're counting how many times he touches her in general. And through chapter 6, he's touched her 11 times, which makes sense. Because I think one little part where he's why the fuck are you here? What happened? And he's holding her. She's my mom. My mom made me come. My mom forced me. And then he's oh, it was your mother. Because I think he sees it. I think he sees a part of it in her. And he's oh, fuck.
I've got to get behind that one. Because it's a little weird to me. Mm-hmm. It is a little weird to me how he knows so much towards the end.
Yep.
That it just can't be the temple. I think, to me, that's just not a very fathomable signet power. Because how do you control that?
Well, how did he figure that out as well? If it wasn't just a like, let me touch your, like,
I'll
like, touch someone's arm.
I think maybe he got his signet and he brushed up against someone and was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
God.
Because I'm like, dang, I know you don't get that much pussy. Like, who the fuck are you touching someone's temple?
But I think maybe once or twice. I do have it written in my notes, but my phone's just died. He cups her face, I think, once or twice in chapters 1 through 6.
Oh,
so
yeah, he like brushes her cheek.
Like caresses her face with his thumb. So I'm like, okay.
I'm like, boy, you're getting those memories non-consensual. Like,
I'm like, that's kind of like invasive.
Very invasive.
Like, hey girl, let me read your mind. Let me see your memories. I don't know. I have to get on board with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that for right now, that's all I've got. I do have a few things that I thought were interesting that I haven't developed those ideas yet, so I don't want to share them until I have like structure behind these claims. I don't want to come out of like left wing and be like da-da-da-da-da-da, and everyone be like, what the fuck did she just say?
There's one point in chapters 1 through 6. I'm not going to talk too deep into it. We'll talk more later. Kelsey hates this theory where they find like it. Mira leaves Brennan's journal and
Don't piss me off.
Rhiannon's like, oh, like, because Violet was like, oh my god, like, Mom burned everything of Brennan's. It's tradition, burn everything. And Rhiannon's like, yeah, sometimes, like, we don't let go of stuff either. Like, just for that
and
little...
it's a strict tradition.
Yeah.
This person dies, you don't keep anything, you burn it.
And so...
You write their name on the little death toll, they're done, that's the last time it's said. Which, she's mentioned it once in this little read through 1 through 6, that it like doesn't sit well with her, that this is the last time that his name will ever be said or ever written. And like,
I think that's going to be something powerful maybe in the next book or something they work towards, of like figuring out how to better honor Malik, because it's like where she was like, Dylan died, he got to say his name before he crossed the parapet, and he won't say his name ever again, and that is the last time his name will be marked. It will be read in the morning, and that's it. She just does not find a good way to commend the lives lost. She's like, that's it.
It just doesn't sit well with her. She's a very like empathetic person, which I love. Yeah. So anyway, back to your theory. Sorry, I just hijacked that.
No, you're fine. I think it was just something to know of like, oh, and Violet was like, even if Mom found it right now, she would burn it. So I think that's something to look into. We'll talk more about like what that is. I think I want you to ponder as you wander on that one, like as you read. Kind of what that leads to, because we'll talk more about it. I just don't want to jump ahead, because I love theories and lore so much that I think like each segment, each of our like Beyond the Maps deserves some of its each lore and theories. But I will say, reading it this time, like being able to like see and envision kind of what it looks like, of like in the great like big rotunda, there's like 6 different dragons, like all carved, and like the mouth of the dragons can hold like 3 sections or 3 squads, so like they're huge. Like envisioning what this looks like, I think it makes me more immersed than reading it, than listening to it, so I appreciate it from that aspect. Final thoughts on chapters 1 through 6? Anything you want to leave our readers with, our listeners, our viewers, our friends?
I would say this is my hot take. I loved Fourth Wing. When I read it the first time, I rated it 5 stars. I try not to give those out so often. This reread is kind of a little bit hard for me to get back into. And I think maybe that's just because I'm immersed in a series right now. And I love this series, so I'm trying like really hard to give Fourth Wing a chance. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a book snob right now, which is totally possible.
I think you are in a tude because you have stopped reading the Throne of Glass series to read Fourth Wing again, and to wait for Iron Flame. I think you're just in such that, because you were a diehard like Selena. I
love Selena. I love Aelin. Throne of Glass is very.
I think that's your series.
Is near and dear to my heart. I think when it comes to fantasy books overall, it is. A lot of them are the same. There's only so much you can do with the genre. It is what it is. Fourth Wing was kind of fresh for me. It kind of got me back into fantasy books, so I think maybe that's why I love it. I loved it. It's taken me a little bit. I think once we get deeper, I'll be excited again, but as of right now, it's just a little bit hard for me to consistently read. Like, normally when I'm reading, I'll read for 4 hours at a time. I came over here one day and just sat on the couch and read for 4.5 hours. With Fourth Wing, I'm like kind of struggling with this reread, but
and that's okay.
I'm getting through it.
We're getting through it.
I think it's the first 100 pages that'll do me in, and once it kicks off, because, I mean, it's about to really kick off, so I'm remaining open-minded.
Good, because I feel
I'm doing my best.
it's becoming my series. I feel like...
I know it's your series. It's killing me that you don't feel the same way about Throne of Glass as I do.
Well, this is also why our tagline is 2 best friends that never see eye to eye.
Yeah.
So...
It's
that one thing we see eye to eye on. Dane Atos is a bitch.
Fucking hate that guy, dude. I could kill him myself.
God. Okay, closing thoughts on my end. I'm just excited, like, on this, like, read again to just kind of see, like, where Violet's head is, how this grows, what it looks like, and, like, seeing the 360 of, like, okay, like, we read it the first time, and now we're getting to see all that foreshadowing again. Because Rebecca Yarros, she's not subtle with the foreshadowing. Once you read it, you're like, holy shit. Like, there it is.
Yeah. And so. I am enjoying that now. I think the first read, obviously, you're reading for the plot.
Mm-hmm.
My first reads, I'm not really looking into things too much. Like, I read Fourth Wing very fast because you and Foster had read it, and you guys begged me to read it, and I was like, okay. And I think when I started reading it, I kind of started off slow too, but no, the second reread, there was a lot of stuff that I've picked up on. I mean, even in these first 6 chapters, and I was like,
okay. So we're gonna do a rapid fire smash or pass from some of the characters we met from the first 6 chapters. Okay, we're gonna go back and forth. You say one, I say one. You say one, I say one.
Riddick.
Smash. What do you think?
Smash. Yeah.
Smash. Rhiannon.
Smash.
Yeah.
Smash. Dane.
God, from where I was in the first read, smash. Where I'm at now, pass. I'm like, shove
I
that
agree.
somewhere else.
I literally was giggling. Like,
yeah,
reading,
and I
them.
like the people that are like, oh, in the podcast right now, they're like, fuck this, fuck that. I'm like, yes, I'm there now. But like, for the first time I read it, I was like, damn, I really wanted to like him.
Yeah, like, I really liked him. I love a childhood, like, friends to lover. Like, I love that trope. I think it's so cute. So I was, like, rooting for them.
I was like,
and I was like, wait, he's so protective of her. Wait a minute, Alpha. But no, pass. No.
Okay.
But smash then.
Zayden.
Smash.
I'd say smash. Smash right now, and then when
reading the book.
He's
beautiful. I
mean,
he's
beautiful.
If
like,
anything,
I fucking hated him, but like.
Even where you're at, you don't like villains. He's beautiful.
He's sexy.
Yeah,
she's like, damn, he's my arch nemesis, but he's so fucking
like,
fine though.
Like, look at him.
Literally, I'm like,
why am I supposed to hate you again?
Mm-hmm. Stop.
Nolan.
He's 84.
Well,
pass. He has a great relationship with his wife.
Yeah.
Imogen.
Ooh. In this point right now, pass.
Yeah.
Because she did break my girl's arm. And I was like, and she tried to stab her.
She scares me. I'd be like, oh my.
No, literally, like, even where I'm at now, I'm, like, still kind of afraid of her.
Yeah.
So.
You're not really scary.
Mira.
Smash. We both said that. We're
smash.
like, do.
Again and again. Yeah.
Violet.
Pass. The fuck? No.
I like her when she develops more self-confidence. Right now,
she's like a weakling right now, and I know that she would hate me.
Right now, I'm like, it's you, not me. Like, it's me, not you. I'm so sorry.
It's literally you. You're disgusting to me.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Like, I just can't.
Oh.
She's so meek and like.
Jack Barlow.
Pass.
Yeah.
And I love villains, but he's like
a douchebag villain, and not in any. There's no redeemable qualities.
Jesus, like, I'm like.
He's giving Gaston.
Even like their beef is like, he doesn't have one good snarky response that would make me be like, well, maybe under the right circumstances.
I need to look up fan art of him because I'm like, what the fuck does this man
to
look
me,
like?
To me, he looks like, picture this. 13 Reasons Why. Bryce. That's just what he looks like to me.
God, you know, I was like, I think of him, but like I want to like do like a doofy, like in my mind, I'm like fucking cartoony. I'm like, do you remember?
He's just a cartoon character among humans.
Among humans.
Yeah.
God, the alien kid, the alien teen from Fairly Odd Parents. He gives that energy. Mark, that was his name. Mark.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like he gives Mark's energy, but being a douchebag.
We only briefly met Sawyer, so I feel like we can't form an opinion on him.
Yeah, we can't smash or pass.
But
yeah, I think that's the smash or pass
for this episode.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
We're gonna check back in with some of these characters.
And then be sure to look at our podcast. We will be posting our Kelsey's Spotify. She's gonna make some playlists based upon Flipping, Glass Throne, Throne of Glass. I always say that.
Don't ever disrespect.
Oh, listen, the Violet's mending potion is doing great on me. You haven't touched yours.
It's working. Don't worry, I'll throw her back. Yeah, I will be making character playlists for the books that we cover. I think that there's just something, for me specifically as a music lover, I love to read characters that I love, and I love being able to listen to playlists to be like, oh, so this is how this song is so Violet. Yeah. Like right now I have a Selena Sardothian playlist, and like I'll hear songs and I'm like, oh my, like I could cry, this is so perfect. What do you mean? Mm-hmm. So I will be working to do a Violet one. I think I might start with the Zayden one.
That would be a hot take.
I might do that. So I'll post that. I'll post it on our TikTok to let everybody know also. But yeah.
And this is also, wherever you're listening from, if you would not mind rating us and following us. If you rate us and give us 5 stars, please don't give us anything less. If you don't like it, then just don't rate it. But the ratings help push our podcast out to other people. And so the more you rate it, the more when people search fantasy podcasts, they're going to find us. Yay. So please rate us wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment below, follow us. Just let us know what you're loving, what you want to see. If you like any segments, like a rapid fire smash or pass, if you have one that you would like for us to do, I would so be down for it. Any different series, any things like that.
Yeah, of course. As I'm finishing Throne of Glass and Iron and Flame is yet to come out, I am looking for recommendations on a new fantasy standalone book or even a series. I'm not picky. I'm a little picky. I'm a little picky. But yeah, I would, if you want to see us cover a certain book or series, be open to that.
Other than that, if you are in the market for cute little bookmarks, please check out Humdrum Paper Goods. I'm not sponsored. I would kill to be sponsored. They have my favorite die cut bookmarks, and they're so fun. So like the one I'm reading right now with my fourth wing is a cup of French fries with a peck of
Mine's a fork with spaghetti, and then there's a meatball on the top. I love it.
They're perfect, and they're sturdy. Like I just love them. Like they're excellent. And one of my dogs, Sully, I got my first one at Barnes & Noble. He chewed through one 3 times. Like I bought 3 separate ones, and I wrote Humdrum and told them, and they sent me like eight different bookmarks, and like I've just been talking with them recently. I'm like, they're great people, they're a great company, so check them out. If you want to follow us on Goodreads, follow us on Goodreads. Kelsey loves another app. Do you want to tell them about that?
Oh my god, yes, I would love to. So this may not be everyone's cup of tea. Heather is an Audible girl, so it's a little bit harder to use with that app. I have been using Bookly. I saw it sponsored or advertised on TikTok, so I downloaded it and I love it. You can add the book you're reading. You can set goals. Like I set 1,000 pages per week that I want to read, and you can set how many goals you want to finish for, or how many books you want to finish for the week or the month or the year. There's different challenges you could do. They just did a zombie readathon where it would send you a random notification and you would have to like read and to like get to safety. It was very, very, very cute. You can also add your thoughts and quotes that you like with a page number, and it makes annotating very easy. That's what I use to like look through mine. And it shows you your stats as well. Like I really sincerely love this app that I'm thinking about just getting rid of Goodreads altogether, because you can rate books on there. But you can also import your Goodreads onto the app. So
for payment.
I
love a good free app. I love a good free app.
You can subscribe for free. You can only add 5 books. I'm not sponsored, but if I could sell anyone on a product, it would be Bookly. Like, I love this app. I love it. It sends me a notification every single night at 8:30 telling me to read. My reading goal is 30 minutes a day. Just 30 minutes.
Crazy. Well, I think that's it for our episode 1. If you need us, follow us on TikTok. We are From the Parapet Podcast. Email us.
Just From the Parapet.
Yeah. From the Parapet. Or email us from the parapetpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us there.
Please don't send us hate mail.
I'll print it out and put it on this wall.
The wall of shame. Yeah. So
other than that, if you take meds, take your meds. Drink some water. Get something to eat, because I know you haven't had a little munch.
And wash your face, please.
And read a good book.
And read a good. That was what she wanted me to say.
Not wash your face.
Not wash your face.
But from our chapter of the world to yours, have a great night.